Elation and celebration gamers from all around the world. I am Lucian and this is the World Gamer Show. It's Christmas time! So why not checking out a horror game? Well, okay, doesn't seem very fitting, but then how about a horror game that takes place on Christmas? Better, huh? Now let me add some snow. And there you have it. If you love nightmares during Christmas, then oh boy, ho ho ho, do I got the game for you. D2 for the Sega Dreamcast. But now, without further ado, let's dive right in. The Sega Dreamcast, the machine of wonders and, well, dreams, but also house to some of the most iconic horror titles, some coming from the original PlayStation, but offering much improved versions such as Resident Evil 2, 3, Alone in the Dark, The New Nightmare, Dino Crisis, but also much beloved games that were first released on Dreamcast, like Resident Evil Code Veronica or House of the Dead 2, even though these well-known titles would later be ported somewhere else. But did you know that there are actually many other horror games that are true Dreamcast exclusives, like D2, the follow-up to the weird FMV-driven experiment released on 3DO, PC, Saturn and PlayStation, and the final part in the Laura trilogy. With Laura being considered a digital actress that starred in the first D, Enemy Zero on the Sega Saturn, and finally D2 on Dreamcast. She plays a different character each time, but all of them called Laura. So this means that D2 has nothing to do with the first one, so you don't need to have played the first game to enjoy this one. D2 was released in 1999 in Japan and in the year 2000 in the US. No PAL release for this one, unfortunately. Spanning a whopping 4 discs, this game is one of a kind, in that it mixes elements from survival horror, adventure games, first-person shooting, and RPG with experience points and leveling up. It is one of the most unique experiences, with a huge emphasis on the story and atmosphere. Indeed, the story deals with very heavy subjects, which I'd rather not talk about to avoid spoilers, so I will just mention the premise, which sees Laura being victim of a terrorist group that decides to take control of the airplane she's traveling on. As if this wasn't enough, a friggin' meteor strikes the plane, making it crash into the Canadian snowy wilderness. All on Christmas Day, nonetheless. Laura miraculously survives, and once woken up, she has a lot of mysteries to unravel.
We don't have any answers.
An interesting aspect of the story delivery is that, just like in the previous games, Laura is a silent character, which helps immensely with the immersion, while at the same time, Laura herself manages to be pretty expressive about the situation surrounding her, with always on-point gasps and facial expressions. In general, I found the voice acting work quite commendable, with performances that sometimes managed to feel almost angsty and otherworldly in a similar way to the classic Silent Hill games.
During those 2 days, you were unconscious. You held this close and kept calling out someone's name. A man's name. Laura? Laura, are you alright? Laura?
The video will resume straight after a short commercial break. D2 is quite artistic also in its cutscenes, with an excellent camera work and cinematography in general, which underline even the smallest action with care, even more so combined with the atmospheric soundtrack. At the same time, the game doesn't shy away from the goriest aspect of the horror genre, with pretty gross mutations and body horror, but also the unsettling monsters' behaviors, like speaking the human language through the body they are possessing.
Hi, Jenny. It's Grandpa. Do you recognize me? We can see each other soon.
All this manages to deliver an experience that is really one of a kind, especially in its gameplay, since it's a mix of many elements as I mentioned earlier. One time you are fighting monsters in first person, other times you are hunting animals in the wilderness to survive, and other times yet, you are exploring the environment in search for clues on how to proceed and reach the next cutscene to advance the intricate plot. The soundtrack is also excellent and enhances each moment accordingly, whether it is tense, actiony, or even sad.
It's like creating my own microcosm. A sanctuary of comfort.
The environments are bursting with details. They all make each location feel real, alive, and lived by whoever passed through before. It's really commendable and hugely contributes to the moody atmosphere. Even though some parts of the game take place in broad daylight, the game can be really tense, as if not managed properly, each enemy encounter could be your last. Thankfully, you can save anywhere, which is a godsend. Speaking of enemy encounters, they can happen randomly while walking in the field and take place in first person, with you standing still and just having the control over your aiming. When an enemy is off screen, you get the option to turn around and face the correct direction automatically, which is great. You can also heal and use plenty of weapons. It's pretty arcadey, but also RPG-like, since you get experience points and can even level up and improve your stats. Overall, this is one of the most artistic games on Dreamcast, peculiar both in its plot and in its gameplay execution, like only a Kenji Eno game can be. There's a lot to like here, even though it's not your typical survival horror. It's weird, this game mixes together so many gameplay styles, mostly having nothing to do with one another, that it feels as if, by all accounts, it shouldn't have worked as well as it does. But indeed it does.
Surprised?
And that's because the elements that glue everything together are solid. Elements such as the story, the soundtrack, and the isolated atmosphere. And it's the final amalgamation of all these aspects that makes D2 an unmissable game for any survival horror fan.
Hold on tight.
D2 is certainly among my favorite Dreamcast games. It tries so many things and succeeds in most of them, which is commendable. I'd say if you call yourself a horror gamer, this should definitely be first on your hunting list. Truly, the Dreamcast is an excellent horror machine. A machine that keeps on giving. But this is just one guy's opinion on the internet, so now I want to know yours down in the comments. Did you play this game? What do you think of it? Is it not the perfect Christmas game? Well, it does take place on Christmas Day, so it is a Christmas game, I tell you.
I look forward to Christmas.
Whatever the case, share your thoughts in the comment section down below, and if you enjoyed the video, feel free to leave a like and subscribe. This way you will always be up to speed with my latest content, and you will also help a fellow gamer out. For you it's just few buttons away, but for me it is really a big help. And hey, it's free. But really, I just want to wish you happy holidays, and thank you so much for spending some of your precious time watching this video to the end. I will be seeing you in my next one, but until then, stay safe, play safe, world gamers.